let's roll. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah, she so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah, she so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. She give me a bit of her love.
Yo, what up, y'all? Welcome to another one, man. It's your boy Raw One, and this is Sparking Conversation. And y'all know what I do each and every week, man. I get up here and I talk to some of the world's most interesting people. But tonight, not so much because my guest couldn't make it, but that's cool because we got a lot to talk about. And I just wanted to make sure that, for all of y'all that download the audio version of this platform, that I give y'all the thanks like I do each and every week, because I want to make sure that y'all understand how much I appreciate y'all for taking the time out to download the audio version and hear what's got to be said on this platform, right? So thank y'all so much. And I also want to make sure that the people who download the audio version, I know I say things like click the links in the descriptions and stuff like that, right? Because I have things up here that's going on that you can't necessarily see. So I hope if you guys are ever in a position where you're not driving or traveling or however you consume the audio version, you guys will find us on YouTube at Sparking Conversation at YouTube, right? And then you could get links. The links will be in the description of the videos every time that I, market and promote one. So I just wanted to make sure that y'all knew that too as well, because, like I said, the audio version, you guys don't get to see those things, right? So I want to make sure that y'all get those. And yeah, man, thank y'all so much again, each and every one of y'all. Every week, y'all download audio versions. And so I appreciate y'all. Yeah, so look, I wanna also get into a few things real quick, right? Because I do have to get into what I want to talk to y'all tonight about. So let's start off with this right here. Y'all know the vibe. August 22nd is going down. We Don't Wait, We Create Part 2, featuring my boy Vincent M. Ward from The Walking Dead. He will be in the building, chopping it up with all you actors, you filmmakers, all the industry and everybody that's around in the industry that want to get that information, soak in some information real quick, catch that Bob, and just pick his brain if that's something that y'all want to do, because I know a lot of y'all out there are creating and y'all in the mood and the mode of creating. I also want to say that I did some research, and as far as North Carolina concerned, they're really on a rise for filmmaking. So this will be a perfect networking event for y'all to get there. And I want to say this too, because as y'all know, the type of content that I talk about on this platform, it doesn't always get pushed out to the masses like, those that may be talking about, current topics or just whatever the industry is talking about, gossip and people business, right? A lot of things that I talk on here is real. I do get shadow banned. So for those of y'all that are wondering what this is right here, this QR code that's up here right here, you can actually scan your screen wherever you see this QR code, and you can donate to support the platform if that's something that you like to do in order to help keep the platform rolling. Because like I said, I do get shadow banned a lot because I do have real conversation, real topics on here, and a lot of things that I talk about, they don't really want us talking about it in the sense of that. So I just wanted to let y'all know why y'all may see this QR code up here. That's what the QR code is for. You can scan it at any time during the live or in the playback. You see the reels and you see it up there. You can scan it at that time. If you want to donate $1, if you want to donate $5, whatever you want to do, it's cool. It's all love. I just wanted to make sure that y'all knew how y'all can support the platform because, people ask me and, I've been reluctant to do so. I be forgetting because I just been wanting to get the information out. So I have to be mindful of these things, right? Because people really do want to support, and I don't need to knock people who want to pass off the blessing, right? So there it is. Because people know that with or without it, I'm still going to keep going. I'm still going to keep pushing. This is episode 181. So that lets y'all know that I'm serious about the platform. So if that's something that you want to do to keep this information going, there it is for y'all. And if not, it's all love. Thank y'all for joining me anyway. All right. So, with that being said, I also want to make sure that I let y'all know about the good feels, right? Because there's a lot of people out here who like to get where they like to go without alcohol. They don't like to always be in a position where they drinking alcohol and stuff like that, but they still want to feel good in the drink that they're drinking. So, for all of y'all out there that are interested, I want y'all to go right now. Click the link in the description and check out the Good Feels Infused Seltzer. And let me tell y'all something, man. You get 20% off your order, you know what I mean, for just rocking with your boy. So go ahead and click the link, get your 20%, and keep pushing. You know what I'm saying? Word. All right. And on top of that, I want to make sure that y'all all know out there that, yes, there is a way for you guys to help yourself. So if any of you guys have been doing the research, I've been talking about it for the past few weeks, right? I want you guys to always go and look up the benefits, or no, not the benefits, the symptoms of having parasites in your body. Right. And I want you to look at the different types of parasites that are in the human body, because a lot of people think that they got something going on that's passed down through their family and all that, when it's really just been passed down through diet based on what you've been eating and how you've been eating it, and other little things like that too as well, from pets and everything else, because a lot of people have pets. A lot of people like to sleep with their pets and all this other stuff, but they don't know that their pets carry parasites, because they be always, digging and clawing in certain places, because they be cleaning themselves, especially cats. So, and for that, you guys got to always understand. And then cats use the bathroom in the house or in a litter box. So a lot of times those parasites just sitting in there, just transferring every time they go in and out. And then it winds up getting in your food and everything else, or in your bed, because a lot of y'all allow your pets to sleep in there around you and all these other things. So if y'all go look up the symptoms of having parasites in the body, see if they match any of the way that you've been feeling. And if they do, I want you guys to click the link in the description and go ahead and get that parasite detox. Remember, there's a lot of things that they tell y'all that is out here, and I'm not giving y'all medical advice at all. That's why I said go do the research. I led with that, so you guys can go out there and look it up first. And then if it's something that you feel like matches the way you feel and some things you got going on, then yeah, go ahead and get it and get rid of it, right? Because that's what you have to do. And there's other things you have to do too. You have to cut back on the sugar, right? Because certain parasites, they live off of sugar and different things like that. Yeah, there's certain things that you got to do, but health as well, right? You gotta be willing to help yourself, y'all. Word up. You got to be willing to help yourself. All right. On top of that, I know all of y'all been seeing the skits that are going on, and I want to just say thank y'all for everybody that's been pushing play on Oob Lifted Part 25. Y'all push play on Oob Lifted Part 26. And next week, we got Oob Lifted Part 27 dropping. But until then, thank y'all so much for all of y'all that's been pushing play on all of the content, because it really means a lot, y'all. I thank y'all. I thank y'all. I thank y'all. All right. Word. Because that's what it's about. Um, but look, man, I want to say this, man, to all of y'all before we get into the show, right? Because I wanna make sure that all of y'all out there that I've been telling about getting y'all tickets, making sure y'all in the building for We Don't Wait, We Create, is because that's exactly what I want to do. I want to be around like-minded people who are not waiting for somebody else to validate them, but they're willing to step out on faith and be themselves. So many people have a hard time being them. They've been told their whole life to be something else, be for somebody else, or whatever. Very seldom do they be around people who just say, yo, listen, who you are is what we need. That's what the world needs. And I am one of those people who feel strongly about that. Yeah, it's through the gaze of entertainment, right? So everybody has this dream of being famous and all these other things. The only difference with me, if anybody do their research, I've done so much, right? But what have you done for me lately is the mentality that I have for myself. Not so much that I want to live off of the things that I've already done, but the fact that I get enjoyment and freedom out of being creative. I just want to be around other people who feel the same way. Those people who have these things and these visions inside of them, and they want to get them out. They don't want to hold on to them. They don't want to sit on it. They don't want to wonder what if and I wish it could have been. No, they want to go ahead and get to it. And I'm here to be one of those people that say, yo, we can do it. That's why it's called We Don't Wait, We Create. So if you do anything, if you're a script writer, if you are a set, if you on the set, like if you do lighting, if you do sound, if you're a filmographer, if you're a photographer, if you're a model, if you're a clothing line, if all of these things, if you're an artist, everybody need to be together because a complete movie needs every piece. If you're a barber or a hairstylist, everybody need to work together because a movie needs all of it, right? They need clothes. And everybody need it outside of that. The movies need music. The artists need promotion. Everybody need each other, but we are so separated. But we're going to get into that in a minute. I don't want to go too far about the separation thing because we're going to talk about some things tonight, all right? Because we're going to talk about Miss Gwen E. White down here in North Carolina, the lady who, is in jail right now facing attempted murder charges for two attorneys, right? She shot them. And based on the situation that was happening with her mom and the two attorneys that she shot was representing the police department that she had the issues with. So we're going to talk about that right now. But I just wanted to make sure I get that out there to all of y'all that are interested in We Don't Wait, We Create. I want y'all in the building. You can definitely get your tickets at thecollectiveevents.net. Go right there, get your ticket. Once you get your ticket, redirect you right back to the site. Go ahead and fill out the site, whatever you do in the industry, and just be in the building, right? It's a $20 ticket. It's not like it ain't a come up, right? It ain't a big money grab, right? It's just to make sure that the people who supposed to be there be there. That's it. We want to make sure that the people who invest in themselves will be there. Right. So definitely. So thecollectiveevents.net. Y'all know the vibes. Go there, get your tickets, and be in the building. All right. All right. So let's do this, y'all, real quick, man. Let's get into the show. All right. Because I got a few of y'all. Hold on. I got some comments real quick. Let me see what we got. Gloria, what's good, Glow? I'm saying, what's good with you? All right. Spiders are yummy. What's good, yo? Over on YouTube land. Let's see, over on YouTube land. What's up, man? I don't know what you do or talk about, but I want to give you random acts of kindness by saying good luck with your stream and what it's for. Either way, have a good day. My man, I appreciate that, yo. Word up. It's always good to get positive energy from people, especially from people you don't know, because you'd be surprised. There's a lot of people that I do know that don't send positive energy. So thank you for that, bro. Word up. Or, ma'am, I don't know. It's not necessarily saying it in your thing. So, but thank you. All right. I appreciate that. All right, y'all. So let's talk a little bit, y'all. And for those of y'all that's watching, man, y'all know the comments are wide open. Don't be ashamed or afraid to comment, all right? Because we need to interact today. Because today I want to talk about things from a different perspective, right? I want to talk about the age-old trick that's been used against us for the longest, and it's racism, right? Is racism still a real thing right now, 2026 in America? Yes. Unfortunately, yeah. Right. As much as people feel like people who look like me should be forgetting about it, we have all these opportunities and all these things that they say we have. We should, not be dwelling on the past and all these other things. But it's hard to get rid of the past when it keeps showing itself in the present. That's all I'm saying. And I want to talk about it from a perspective because, like I said, I wanted to talk about Gwen today, Miss Gwen E. White, right? Because, right now, y'all, she's facing a double murder charge or a double attempted murder charge. It's about 30-something years apiece. So if she gets convicted, she's facing a 60-something years at the extent. And all of this over defending her mom because her mom was ultimately unalive and she felt like it was at the hands of, the DHHS, which a lot of evidence is pointing towards that, right? But it ain't so much about that. The lady has been doing everything the legal way, the right way, since it started from 2001. And she's just been going about things the way that everybody say you should go about it, right? Do it the right way, do it the legal way. And she did. And every time and at every attempt, it failed. And for some reason, I think they think that when people like us, like that look like us, and we talk about it from this perspective, that we justify the fact that two people got shot. When in actuality, no, right? It's not a discussion. Like what y'all fail to realize is that if at any given time she had a discussion with anybody that looked like her at the moment or before she was getting ready to do it, they would have talked her out of it. Literally. they would have tried their best to talk her out of it. Although they would have empathized, sympathized with her, right? And they could understand where her anger and her frustration come from. But they still would have tried to talk her out of it, right? Because she's still fighting the case and she's still seeking justice. And at the end of the day, you have to be willing to allow God to work it out. And for some people, I understand because it don't work out the way that they expect when they believe in God. But what they fail to realize is that God doesn't work just as the way that we want him to. Don't think that these people out here that's doing all this injustice are just living a life of scot-free where they don't have no issues and no problems or things are not going wrong in their life. Now, maybe those people don't equate it to the wrong that they do out here in the world, or maybe they live the life of hurt people, right? So because they go through life in a certain way, they want to hurt others. But then there comes a time when people just blatantly don't like you because of how you look, not because you did anything, not because you will do anything to them. It's just because of how you look. And with that particular point in time, it's not just a black and white thing. Even the people who look like you don't like you because of how you look. We got all this different colorism and shade this and this, that, and the third that people talk about all the time that keeps us separate, right? We have dating shows out here where women have a man that fit all the boxes that they're looking for in a person, but he's not tall enough for them, right? We have all of these things that keep us separate. We'll find anything that we can use on God's planet to keep us separate. And at the end of the day, if y'all don't see that it is working, right? It's working. But more so than that, when we want justice for something, it's hard for us to get it because we only want to come together when it's based off emotion. Now, with Miss Gwen, I understand why everybody wants to come to her defense because, yes, all of the evidence show that the lady tried to do everything possible the right way to get justice for her mom. She everything. But just because of that act or the way that she felt at that moment would cause her to go do what she did. She got fed up. She was tired of it. The point is, though, do it, make it right. No, but do we understand why? Yes, because I don't know why you people that's on the racist spectrum who feel like you can continue to do things to people without suffering any consequence. You know, like it's going to happen. You can only back a person or anything in nature in a corner, but for so long to the point where it's going to fight its way out. And there's too much arrogance going on in places of civil service because the beef was with the police department in Roseville, right? But that's not the only complaint that this police department was getting. This police department has gotten so many different complaints. And the point is though, what's the point in complaining if nothing is going to be done about it? Right. And we see that. We see that on the national level, the federal level, and we see it on the state and local level. That people that are in civil service, depending on where they are, they do whatever they want and nothing comes to them. No harm comes to them. Judges and people who own privately owned prisons and all these people are all working together to funnel people through. And as much as we know and we have the information and all these other things, to them, they feel like it's nothing that we could do about it. Right? What are we going to do about it? They could care less that we know the deals or the details of anything that's going on when it comes against us as a group of people, just based on how we look. They know that the arrogance of the elite races is beyond that whole thing of being covert. They're not covert about it at all. They're blatantly showing you in your face how they do not care about you, only based on how you look. Because at one point in time, there was a system put in place for people who looked like them were able to own people who look like us and make them do whatever they want, have them, and all these other things. And some people are still living through that. People are, we're not that far removed from Jim Crow, y'all. Y'all know that, right? Like it seemed like it's a long time ago, but it really isn't. Right? It really isn't. Segregation and Jim Crow is really not that long ago. Right? But in the interim, we all are in a place where racism is existing on both sides, not just when it's black and white, but when it's black on black too. Right? Because check this out, with everything that's going on with Kevin Hart and the roast, everybody's blaming Kevin Hart for the George Floyd joke. Barely, they're mentioning Tony Hedgecliffe, right? They're mentioning him because he said it, but they're not jumping on him. And then I do see that, there's some people who are online and on Twitter, X, and all that other shit, they popping shit and whatever. But the backlash mostly is coming towards Kevin Hart from the black community, which is crazy because the black community is the number one group of people who always like to say, hey, that was them, not me. They love to say that. They love to say whenever things go or look ignorant or things like that, you go somewhere. Like bike week just happened this past weekend for Memorial Weekend, and then at the beach there was a shooting. And when it's a shooting, there's always black people involved when it's a shooting, right? And then what the main people that was up there talking about, man, we can't go nowhere. That's why I don't like to go places where black people be at, because they always shoot, they always die. They say that then. But then when it comes to something else, because a person is a celebrity or whatever, that rule don't count now. That rule don't count. Now it's just him. Instead of Tony Hedgecliffe, people should be on him, not on Kevin. But so many creators, I've been seeing it for the last week, that so many black creators are up here blaming Kevin Hart. Nah, man, you should have did this. You should have did that. You should have did that. Well, then who should have stood up for his dead mom or his dead dad when they were making jokes about him or them? Like, why nobody ain't say nothing about that? Why do you, oh, yeah, that was messed up too, but, it wasn't a white man to a black. Why? Because it's racist. Because it's behind the gaze of being racist instead of just it being wrong regardless, because, nobody should be making jokes about George Floyd at all because of how he went out. Remember, a person need him to death. They didn't have to do that. Right? They didn't have to do that to him. Right? But at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying. But, that joke should have been taken for that, at that person, aimed at that person only, not at Kevin Hart. But for us, as a group of people, we find the fault in us so hard. We can't wait. We cannot wait to find fault in each other and get out here on these blogs and do that crazy shit and start talking junk about each other just because we want to have something to say about somebody because they further than where you may be in life. That whole celebrity thing, you would think that, people from your community would be happy that you are not, that you're in a better position and you helping other people. But no, depending on where they are in life, they can't wait to tear another person that they feel like is up or whatever down. And it's crazy because Kevin Hart should not be blamed for that joke. Just like with Miss Gwen, like, when they talked about her mom, right? This was the crazy foul stuff, right? Because I have a video I'm going to share with y'all too. And I also got some other things too that was said out here, the bloggers and a lot of the other content creators out here, especially those that look like me. It's crazy how all of y'all, I mean, I ain't gonna say all of y'all, but a lot of y'all were out here talking about Ms. Gwen from a negative perspective, saying that she was crazy, she was mental, that her mom was taken from her because the living conditions wasn't this, that, and the third. That's foul. Like, this lady Gwen was super educated, She had mad degrees. She had mad certifications, right? She had a high-level career. She worked for the government. So she wasn't, I don't know what y'all thinking about her. Y'all should did y'all research before y'all jumped out there and thought that she did something just because she was mental. No, she snapped. Just like anybody out here would do when you going through something, as long as you go through something and you just don't seem to get no help. The number one thing that we all go through or go to is our nature is to fight. Now, is it always right? No. And did she really fight? No, she shot. Right? And she didn't just go randomly shoot people. She shot the people who was representing the police department. And I know for those people, right, they just looking at it as another black person shooting a white person. That's all they thinking about. Black people doing something to white people. That's all they could think about to help justify why they continue to do the things that they do. But I don't know why color has anything to do with the fact that if a person is being harassed or their mom or their father or their loved ones, their elders life has been cut short due to negligence of anybody, why the color should matter. It don't matter. If y'all think that white people ain't out here crashing out over things that happen to their loved ones, y'all are crazy. It just don't make the news like that. Just like when it comes to police killings, we only get the police killings when it comes to killing us. But the police be shooting white people as much too. I don't know why y'all don't think that there's not There's research out there. Use these AI, all these different types of AIs for research out here, y'all. Use it. Compare it. If you don't trust one, use two, use three, use it. Get the information. Go on X. X got the facts. They got the fact checkers on there, right? Where you could put something up and they got a bunch of people who got the references and everything. So you don't be giving out misinformation. But I want y'all to know, man, the way that these things are going, the narrative is always going to get painted as the person who did whatever, as the something is wrong with them mentally and all these other things. But they don't understand that any person, anybody can a switch can flip. If you push the right button, the as much as you, I don't know, you gotta be cautious when you got a setting out here to do stuff to people. You can't push a person. And then when they shoot you, talking about that's not fair. You should just keep your hands to yourself because consequences are consequences. There's no set rule for consequences. You should just keep your hands to yourself. And in this particular case, this lady has been fighting and seeking justice since 2021. And nobody is, and people are still in the position of saying, well, that's just, well, she just got to, wait and da. She should. It's crazy. It's crazy that this is the world that we live in, that people will actually put that as a perspective versus understanding that, everybody has a breaking point. Does it make it right? No. But you don't understand. And yeah, she could be found guilty. Now, the people who did what they did to her and all that other stuff is going to be totally washed away because of what she did, right? It's going to be totally wiped away. So her mom and everything else that went on, the acid situation that was thrown on her mom, all the harassment and all the things that she went through. And then not only that, they got the deposition from the court record from 2021 when she went to court for the neighbor, which started all of this going downhill. And the neighbor told them straight up how they felt. And I got the video where you could get it from her own mouth. We're gonna play that. And I want to see what y'all say. Matter of fact, let me do that because yeah, I wanna make sure that you guys understand that the world that we living in, y'all, the world that we living in, it's not. Sheesh. It's one of those that people are purposely trying to flush down the drain for some reason. But let me share my screen with y'all, yo, because yeah, I'm flabbergasted. All right, y'all, let's work. Hold on. I think it was muted, y'all. My bad. Here we
would come, and then I would call and say, hey, this nurse is at my house. They said, no, Miss White, you canceled. I said, no, there's a lady in the room with my mother right now. And she said, no, you canceled. I said, no, I did not. I said, there's a lady here. And then I go in and I confront the lady and I say, I'm calling the police. She leaves. Within seconds, mommy starts bleeding from her eyes, her nose, her mouth, her vagina, everything. I'm having to call 911.
All right, listen. I wanted to pause it right. I wanted to pause it right there. Um Real quick because as we continue to watch this video, I want everybody to kind of keep in mind that this is her telling her own story. And so I don't want people to kind of take it as this is a third party situation, whatever. It's not. This is her telling her own story about what happened to her and how things transpired. So let's continue to watch it.
Rosecliff police did not.
According to documents that Ms. White shared with the Carolinian newspaper, over the span of a few months, she and her mother were poisoned, beaten, and harassed. She would call the police and nothing would happen. Eventually, she got in front of a judge outside of Rollsville that would hear her case. The events inside of the courtroom back in 2021 were equally shocking. Here is a snippet of what happened according to Ms. White. Again, the content and language is graphic.
Judge McCullough said, so you're telling me that she's telling the truth and she's been telling the truth the whole time? He said, yes, my client has been breaking in her house. My client has been poisoning her and her mother. He said, why? The white man was sitting there. He was sitting there just like this with his head down. Mm-hmm. Judge McCullough said, sir, why are you doing this? He raised up his head. He looked at me sitting on this side at the table. He said, that nigger needs to die. He said, no nigger should ever be as smart as a white man. He said, that bitch got 6 degrees, 9 minors, 74 certification, 11 areas that she specialized in. I read her profile. I stole her laptop. That bitch needs to die. He turned his head back around and he put it in his chest. Judge McCullough said, is this a game? Is there a hidden camera here? He said, we're in 2021, going into 20. Are we for real? He said, you can't tell me that this is true. She said, Your Honor, Miss White is telling the truth. They have been harassing her and her mother. They've been trying to make Miss White do what they want them to do by targeting her mother. So you telling me that her mother got poisoned because they want Miss White to turn over federal or state information that they think she still has? Yes, Your Honor. Will come and then I will call.
So this is what I'm saying about this situation, y'all. Hold on. I don't know what my camera doing. But yeah, this situation is crazy, y'all, because at the end of the day, this shouldn't still be happening in today's time, right? Not at all. Like, nothing like this should be happening at all. I don't know what's going on, y'all, with my camera. Y'all got to bear with me. I guess it's because of what I'm talking about. I told y'all earlier that, you know, I get shadow banned and all kind of stuff and, you know, pretty much cyber attacked because of the type of conversations that I have on the platform and the things that I'm talking about. And I guess it's from that perspective because nobody wants to talk about it from that one. They want us to be angry. They want us to be talking in a manner where we feel like we're going to be threatening people and doing all this other stuff. They want to use that. They don't want people like me to be chopping it up on here because of the way that I give it up. And I understand that, right? But I have to deal with it because right now this is crazy that my camera is like literally not working. Everything is green on here, but I can't see myself and I'm sure y'all can't see me either. But I guess that's just what's going to go down today. It's just one of them things, y'all. But at the end of the day, what I do want to make sure that y'all all know out there is that I'm not personally trying to do anything to try to garner clicks and, you know, clickbaiting and stuff like that. I'm really honestly wanting to get the information out because at the end of the day, this lady and her mom have been targeted based on a whole lot of things, right? But the one thing that I did notice in her conversation was she said, based on information that they felt like she had. And if anybody else out there kind of understands, like, that's really crazy, right? That they would even suspect her to still have information and they targeted her mom and they said she got all these degrees and all this other stuff. And she was speaking from the perspective of the defendant's lawyer. The defendant's lawyer was admitting that the lady was telling the truth about everything that happened. The thing is, though, the body cam footage, right? From when she called the police, the body cam footage, she can't get that body cam footage. Or somehow or another, they said they only have a 30-day retention on body cam footage, which is crazy. Saying that if it don't seem to be deemed as evidence, which is crazy because they showed up to a scene that they were called based on a crime that happened. So how could that not be considered evidence? or for them to want to hold that footage because they called and they had on camera something that happened to somebody. That would be considered evidence, right? What would make them think that those people or that lady wasn't going to take it any further? And if they deleted it or whatever they did, they didn't have whatever the situation may be. This lady knew that probably is what pushed her over the edge, is them just kept playing in her face, knowing that they got it. And knowing that if they just would present that, it would help her and exonerate and get her, all the justice that she needed for the fact that the state should have never took her mom out her house in the first place. Especially not saying that she did anything to her mom based on the fact that they had footage that somebody else came here and did it. And then they sent somebody to our house after she canceled for the nurse. The nurse showed up, and then next thing you know, the mom bleeding and all this other stuff, and ain't nobody feel like that was wrong. Like nobody felt like that was wrong. Like, why would they think that that was okay? And only reason the people who thought that was okay, like that's what I'm saying about racism and racism. Like it's evil, y'all. It's a really evil spirit to not like somebody based on how they look. The things that you would do to a person just based on how they look. And then those people who didn't do it, but they support it by trying to cover up and hide and almost big up the person who did it. They look at us as one less N-word, one less ninja in the world. They would be happy to wipe us all off the planet. And you got people who come here from other countries, they migrate from other countries. They come here and they got everything against people who look like me because of the stories and because of the way that we're portrayed in the news and everything else. And then, what's crazy, y'all, is that, they got a company out here, I think ByteDance, if I'm not mistaken. I need to get more information on that. I do have it, but that's not what the topic was. So that's why it's not right in front of me for me to pull it up right now. I'm just referencing right now. But, there's a company out here trying to buy up. At the end of the day, they'll have almost 67% of all news stations. Man. And, man, their target, they're aiming for the people who are undecided about things. They say it's about 67% of America who's undecided or in the middle, 70-something, I think, 70-some% of Americans who are undecided or in the middle when it comes to certain topics, and they want to aim towards those people to get them either on one side or the other. So they're going to use the news and information in order to do that. So in other words, y'all, the goal is to continually keep separating us to the point where if things do go sour over here, we got all these predictions of different things like earthquakes and, aliens showing up and all this other stuff. And when that do happens is that people won't only be against those things, we'll be against each other too. Right? That's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to have a bunch of white, black, Mexican, all these other people going to turn super racist and territorial. Now, people out here who've been duped and being used by the powers that be are going to be against each other while the powers that be is going to be against all of us. Everybody. And you were just falling for it, man. Just falling, just sliding down the slide of just continuously being used based on our emotions. And just to go back to the Kevin Hart thing, just a little bit more, I feel bad for that man. You know what I'm saying? Not because of the fact that he has everything that, a person could ever want, you know what I mean? Or because he's a celebrity being attacked, because that's what you sign up for when you become a celebrity. What I feel bad is that people are not using the same standard of life to him as they do when it comes to themselves that they want. They always want to look like somebody, but they don't want to be associated with that person whenever it goes bad. But then whenever it happens to somebody else, they can't see that. And that's what's foul. Because it shouldn't be Kevin Hart getting in trouble over that because it was a Kevin Hart roast. Because Kevin Hart didn't say the joke. Right? And then for those people who want Kevin Hart to stand up in the middle of a live production and be upset about a joke when he should be more upset about, not that, George Floyd ain't important, but he should be more upset about the jokes about his dad and his mom, right? Because they both passed away too. And then they was bringing up the substance abuse of his dad, right? Because, that's kind of embarrassing too. I know a lot of us, deal with parents or, family members that, lived a life of substance abuse. And, some of the things that they done during their addiction, it wasn't cool. And it was embarrassing as a family member to know and to see and to hear people talk about. But, Kevin Hart is a multimillionaire. He's made it out the mud, and he had to come through those circumstances by having a dad that was on substance abuse. And for most people, I don't know why y'all don't look at it as a triumph, but they don't. They look at that as like, yeah, but damn, your dad was this, your dad was that. Like, yeah, but as you can see, he definitely didn't follow the footsteps of his dad. But also, if you kind of think about it, whatever that talent and that gift that's in him, if it wasn't for his dad and his mom actually coming together, you wouldn't have no Kevin Hart. So at the end of the day, he should be more upset about the jokes that they said about him than he should be about what someone said about somebody else. But for those of y'all out there who felt like he should have been more upset about the George Floyd joke versus the ones that they said about his own mother and father, that's bananas to me. Because at the end of the day, it was his roast, but it wasn't like he didn't take or suffer low blows as well too. It wasn't the roast of all the family members of other people. It was his roast. And he got ate up too as well, along with, a lot of other people who caught strays, right? I mean, look at Chelsea Handler. They talked about her all night about being a hoe. And then look at Pete Davidson. They talked about his dad, and his dad died in 9/11. And they talked about him. They joked about his dad. They joked about Wanda's husband who committed suicide 3 years into their relationship. I think fam jumped off a bridge or something. They joked about him too. Like, I don't know. People got selective anger, I guess. Because if that was the case, a whole lot of people should be mad. Regina Hall, they didn't really dig on her the whole night, really. But when she got up there, she talked about people running trains on Cab Mom in heaven. Like, yo, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. I don't really know why it's so easy for us to be used by our emotions. But now in 2026, when we know to play, but I do pity, or I do feel sorry for people who still look at life based on a hypocritical perspective. They look at other people, but they don't want to be judged off of the same lens if something happened to them similar. None of y'all want to have a birthday party or a celebration or throw anything and then something negative happen and you get blamed for it because you threw the party or you threw the event or you hosted the event or your name is on the flyer or whatever. You don't want to take the blame for some ignorant people who showed up and didn't know how to act that day. You wouldn't want to take the blame for that. So I don't know why y'all trying to make Kev take the blame for Tony Hedgecliffe. And on top of that, going back to Miss Gwen, I really don't understand y'all. Like, listen, if y'all really are upset at her, I'm talking about anybody from whatever perspective, because black and white, y'all out here talking shit, right? So if y'all are upset at her for any reason, right? I just wish that y'all was that upset in the beginning and would have helped or did whatever you could to use your power to stop this from happening. Everybody's upset until it happens to them. That nobody is, they don't care, what I'm saying, until it happened to them. And I feel bad for the two lawyers too. You know what I mean? Because basically they just doing their job too. They got hired for a job. And their goal is to win. Whether the person that they playing for is good or bad, that's not the point. The point is for them to win. So if they win in there and they representing the other side and or whatever, shooting them ain't really it, right? Because the people who you really want is who they representing, not them, right? They just doing their job. But the foulness is that they got caught in the crossfire. So it's almost like, I bet. So, but y'all want to represent them, so y'all get it too. It's like the Messengers. Y'all ever saw 300? when my man Leonidas kicked fam in that hole, talking about this is Sparta, and they talking about, yo, I'm the emissary. I just came with the information. He was like, nah, you should have kept that information to yourself. Boom, kick that nigga in the hole. So what I'm saying to y'all, it's the same thing. We gotta be responsible for the fact that, you know, it can happen that way, even though the people was just doing their job. Right? Both of those people were just doing their job and they got shot because of who they chose to represent. Or, you know, however that go. But then, you know, it goes back to the company you keep, right? You gotta be careful about who you choose to represent. But when it comes down to money, some people don't care. They got the dollar amount, you got what they asking for, they coming to win, they gonna do it. And then in the interim, you could possibly get shot for trying to get a check, whether it's your job or not. So in other words, I just want to make sure that I don't sound like I'm just condoning violence, because I'm not. I'm just saying I understand where she coming from. I understand why that happened. And if any of y'all out there don't understand why that happened, then, you know, hey, it's not for you to understand. You're just going to be mad and you're just going to be upset because that's how you are. Not because you want to understand, because that lady, she justifiably had a reason to be angry. I don't know if she, you know, really took it out on the right people. I mean, those are just the people who was representing the people, right? But what kind of message does it send, you know, to everybody, not just the lawyers or, you know, but law enforcement or anybody in those particular, what message does that send? And I think with Louisiana, you know, what they doing down there when they rolling back and, you know, everybody keeps saying they trying to take it back to slavery and stuff like that. What do y'all think is going to happen really? I mean, I honestly, it's a real honest question. For those of you people that are on the side of racism in the elite portion, or the people of those of y'all who really live with this notion in mind that you're better than other people because of your skin color, or that you feel like you have the right or you have the anger in you to feel like you can cause harm to another person based on their skin color. Like, for those of y'all, what do y'all think is going to happen? Do y'all really think that you're going to continue generation after generation of living in this toxicity and nothing is going to happen to you? Like, do you really think that? For those of y'all that believe in the Bible, did you think that the Pharaoh really felt like he was going to get away with what he did? Look what happened to him. I mean, he was so arrogant that he chased people. What king or what person in royalty is chasing? Right? That wasn't nothing but ego, pride, and arrogance and hate that caused you to come down off of your throne and chase people that you felt like was beneath you. And you got consumed because you was chasing people that you felt like was beneath you. If people are so beneath you, then why are you around them? You should be in a place where only the people that feel like you should be. Some people are saying that's what they're trying to do in certain towns, like Roseville, North Carolina. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they only want an all-white population there. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. Maybe they sending a message, but I guess they forgot that all of this belonged to the indigenous people. So even for you as a person that came here as a European descendant, feeling like something is entitled to you because of something that your descendants stole, is bananas too. But hey, who am I to judge, right? I'm just another. I'm another ninja that's out here trying to make a difference in the world by giving out information, hopefully sparking conversation and getting people to say to themselves, you know, maybe I can see it from a different perspective. Because at the end of the day, y'all, I think the BRICS nation has got something up their sleeve, and I think a lot of minorities are going to benefit. I mean, that's as much as I can say right now. I think a lot of people who've been doing their research lately kind of get where I'm coming from and know that it's coming. But I pray, man, that for all of y'all out there who is following the case of Miss Gwen, that y'all guys really pay attention. I wanted to show a couple of other things real quick because I didn't want y'all to think that I didn't have other information because she was a ward of the state, her mom. So her mom was taken away from her because they said that her living conditions was terrible. So I did some research and I found some pictures of the living conditions that they said was terrible. I want y'all to put down in the comments if y'all felt like these were terrible living conditions. This is one picture. That's the actual mom right there that that Miss Gwen was fighting for. Well, that I wanted to put this up here so y'all can know who to reference. Carla Blackwell, just in case, because this is where I got the pictures from. I wanted y'all to be able to know where it came from. So if any other information, y'all can reference those. But here's another picture of that same house that they said was unlivable conditions that they took her mom out of. Her mom looked very comfortable to me, and this was the mom's bedroom where she received her care and stuff like that at that same very house. So whatever the narrative that's being painted, because I seen a lot of y'all talking about she was taken because of the living conditions of the house and all this other shit. I don't know. Y'all just jumped out there early before getting all the information, but from those looks of those pictures, it doesn't look like the living conditions was foul at all. Looked like she was chilling, right? So she shouldn't have been taken from Gwen in the first place and forced into the state custody. And then forced for her Social Security to go back to the state now, only for the state to do and neglect her when she was perfectly fine at home, but happened to live next door to some people who felt entitled to their skin color. It's crazy. It's crazy, y'all. I hope for all of y'all that watch tonight and all of y'all that's gonna watch the playback, y'all take a look a little bit more at this case. Pay attention to it because at the end of the day, I don't know how she can actually get off on this because, she actually did do it and she admitted to it and it happened, right? But what I will say is that for those of y'all that are judging her, man, y'all, your day will come where you will be faced with something and we'll see if you have the same level of emotional intelligence that you're doing when you're condemning this young lady for what she did in honor of her mom. And although, it's really a double tragedy because her mom was lost due to neglect. Now, God knows what will happen to her in these locked up facilities and how she's probably being treated and all these other things based on, that same thing we talked about, the entitlement of racists. So I feel bad for her because, her actions put her in a position where they really going to be doing stuff to her in that place. I just pray that all people in that place band together, protect that lady. You know what I mean? And man, it's very hard to come up with words for this, man, because this is terrible. It's terrible with that. It's terrible just racism in general on both sides. When it comes to us, on each other, when it comes to black and white relations, it's just terrible that we're still here in 2026. I don't know. Do I ever think that it will ever go away? I don't know. Not as long as it's still continuously being taught in certain communities that, you're to hate a person just based on how they look. And as long as that is still being taught, it's probably never going to go away. But I hate it. But that's it. That's my show. I don't want to keep going on about it because, y'all, this emotionally draining too because you really know there's nothing that you can do. And at the end of the day, she got a court-appointed lawyer for this case. Hopefully, they find a lawyer that will really take the case. Unless they could really do to get her the least amount of time possible, I still feel like she's going to serve time. You know what I mean? Just continue to pray for her, y'all. Continue to pray for the family. And continue to pray for anybody that's going through this because it's a lot of stuff that is going on out here that people don't know about. And once these people buy up these news stations, if they're allowed to do so, it's going to be a lot more that people are not going to know about. So it's going to be up to places like me to get this information out. Hopefully you guys pay attention, they get it, and just understand that, my stuff is going to be blocked, shadow banned, and all these other things. But if you feel the need to support your boy, like, share, comment, that helps. That helps. And if you don't want to, do that part, you just feel like you want to donate to the cause, take on the QR code right there, scan the QR code, donate, and let's get to it, y'all. Other than that, y'all know the vibes, man. I'll see y'all next week, man. I got a guest next week. And we'll continue to keep growing and we'll continue to keep pushing. And just remember, y'all out there, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. So until then, y'all, I want y'all to hold it down out there. I want y'all to stay fly out there and continue to keep pushing. All right? Word. So until next time, peace.
Let's roll. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah, she so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah, she so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. She give me A.